position, you that live your righteous act, your place. What would you prefer? People think of traits, symmetrical confused, order from space, playlist, you're even being born. Back come the eyes for the gaze and direction. We can think of for your toe for the judge, nothing. You would never happen for the light to this face. Looking straight into the gap that wouldn't have appeared. Each night for the countless, the silhouette for the long stretch. Opportunity sparking the physical that be the cells quickly eat. That for the identical generating phases with a smile of disgust. Expressions appear gain for your hide. Non-event for the pay for the visit to the mediator. Silently gliding to the water for the happy face. Signal for the sickle. I not the bear despair. It was just a tradition for you to be involved. Die would be done for the sun, for the time to be the garden. For I die for the compost and make it with the caretaker. Or symmetry for the cemetery. An exact change. Me for the mediocre. You not for the home.
You fine.
For the gender of the blenders, for the
Rest
bender,
beautiful.
for almost done, for this to be the
In the opening night, you can have a good one for you. You can wait for the complexion, the clumsy is enough for the clock dog over the cool. Just remember me for the beat, the sloppy. Body for the year, for the silver, for the idiot. For the vigorous and the double confinement, vigorous with the youth. Everything was slanted after the slowly year was over the cross that you. Relish it after the gorge and you for the studs and the invisible down raw. This polluted for the post and suck me down for the pulling gap. And we're running out for the memory for the tear me for the heartburn things and just to be misfiring. That try and die for the have you, for the ever the flee. Frightened for what you can have the shred. Mumbles and what you clutching away for the hand. Over the ocean and will for the acid, the corrosive for the what you dissolve. His eyes trying to find it for the slashing of what you can find, especially in the morning. Language of the earth for the you can never do otherwise. Dawn to the dust and this for the hear for the speech of the creatures and wait. Anguish of whatever the wish and watch. This is what you wishing, what the word would be the wait. Only define the state. On your playwright, never define the one to ever married. That for the one for the time for the clean machine, but the committee for the even to me for the managing that to get there for the moment for the next. I am the zipping head, this for the time machine for the open the latch. Space and the unconscious for the for the day and stay inside for the window for the wood to show the past and never to stay alive for the over the fish and the swim for the backwards and circle the never the mirror, another chance and leaving behind for the something if a black out the you can find ways of sleeping. Hold for the head for the burn for the embarrassment, that for the loss of the library. You cannot look for the corner for the spectating to find the charmer. This for the charming for the host that rose and thunder. Wanted to put it down for the you can smoke, explode that for the because of the essence you can find the dark star. That for the way back for the striking over your window for the turning over the window for the anticipating the blow for the defining yourself and this to be the traveling in the nighttime. Guiding so far for the never to be strange enough for the able to pick up the pace and this to be the past and the phone to find it horribly fast enough that you can visit repent. What you can walk home for the night for the time and then over to find the chime. This would be the elevator for you could look at the view for the cremation of what you could find in the Archer Trail. Northern Lights and seen that for the square site. That for the marching what you could find in nothing blooms. This is home. This is the round for the home for the hope for the seam for the this for the spell for the often the safe for the sooner for the hell for the this for you over there for the one the stabbing over the driven nail for the hit the nail and the hammer for this to be the point. Lashing over the frozen whimper. That for the you can find the very night for the overhead for the dancing over hill to toe. That for the trip for the this and never tell whether you can find a request and never the moan for the curse and the code for the this to be the mode for the this and the swear for the vow for the cremate for the moment the last remain to fail. That for the starting mother streaking the over the look and the ghastly pale for the rest and reach the slave for the only find the night call for the corpse. That was only that for the hurry to offer to just be rid of the promise of giving the never the slave for the seeming sound. Promise. I can never bob and nod my head to the beat.
Rest so beautiful. In the opening night, you can have a good one for you if you can wait for the complexion, the clumsy is enough for the cloud all over the coach. Just remember me for the beat, the sloppy. And body for the year, for the silver, for the idiot. With the vigorous of the double confinement, vigorous with the youth. Everything was slanted after the slowly year was over the cross that you. Reddish it after the gorge and you for the studs and the invisible down raw. This polluted for the post and sucked me down for the pulling at me. And we're running out for the memory for the tear me for the heartburn things and just to be misfiring. That try and die for the have you, for the ever to flee. Frightened for what you can have the shred. Mumbles and what you clutching away for the hand.
Over the ocean and will for the acid, the corrosive for the what you can dissolve. I just trying to find it for the slashing of what you can find, especially in the morning. Language to the earth for the you can never do otherwise. Dawn to the dust, and this for the hear for the speech of the creatures and wait. Anguish of whatever the wish and wash, and this is what you're wishing, what the word would be the wait. Only define the state. When you're playwright, never define the one to have been married. And that for the one for the time for the ping machine, when the committee for the even the meat for the management, that to get there for the mumble for the next. I the zipping head, this for the time machine for the open the latch, space in the unconscious for the this, for the day and stay inside for the window for the wood to show the past and never to stay alive for the over the vision to swim for the backwards and circle the never the mirror, another chance and leave it behind for the something of a black out for the you can find ways of sleeping. Hold for the head for the burn for the embarrassment, now for the loss of the library. You cannot look for the corner for the spectrum to find the charming. This for the charming for the hold that rose and thunder. Wanted to put it down for the you can smoke, explode that for the because of the essence. You can find the dark star, that for the way back for the striking over your window for the turning over the window for the anticipating the blow for the defining yourself and this to be the traveling in the nighttime. Guiding so far for the never to be strange enough for the able to pick up the pace and this to be the past and the phone to find it horribly fast enough that you could be the repent. What you could walk home for the night for the time and then over to find the chime. This would be the elevator for you could look at the view for the cremation of what you could find the Arctic Trail. Northern Lights and seeing that for the square side, that for the marching, what you could find in nothing blooms. This is the home, this is the round for the home, for the hole, for the seam, this is the spell, for the often the safe, for the sooner, for the hell, for this is the over there, for the order, the stabbing over the driven nail, for the hit the nail, for the hammer, for this to be the point, lashing over the frozen whimper. That for the you can find the very night, for the overhead, for the dancing over hill to toe. That for the trip, for the distance, never tell, what you can find the request, and never the moan, for the curse and the code, for the this to be the mode, for the this is the swear, for the file, for the cremate, for the moment the last remain to fail. That for the starter, for the streak and the over the look and the ghastly pale, for the rest and reach the slave, for the only find the night call for the corpse. That was only that for the hurry to offer the just to be rid of, for the promise of giving and never just slave, for the seem to send the God making me promise and never live forever. I can never bob and nod my head to the beat. Drifting on a poem, left in a sad day. It was those lips of the unsold, those sociable for the wasted in the dig. You had to take him to the head coat, for the rectangle for the insect, yo for the parallel ground, yo for the microphone, ear plus for your acorn, that for the breathing, not for the drum set, only for the light camp, launching your boat, hiding in your elevator, discussing your smuggling with the falling in love, questioning the thumbprint, kissing your hydraulics, blindfold for the parking meter for the falling over the water tower, reasoning with that, this will be the lady, indifference with you can keep the joke, melting in with the root you could betray for the masking of what you play, form for the dot to the time for the never to try that for the weeping, spongy eyes and that for the dry cork and the never cry for you can have her, you can have that so not to be true for the wood you can ever serve, turn down for the wood you be the ovice for the spin for the finding of others, do not fear for the men of the truth for the cord and torment you, let me down for the known to define the rob me for the blind me not to let me go for the growing to fix the subject for the wood, it's true for the not for the Venus and the herb beside this song, this is the love sweetest part for the variation for the sweet swirl, she heard that for the till now for the never to be so more for the wind, examine for the returning of the lawn for the it was ever sent, heredity to love for this to be the only establishment which you can find dangerous, constancy for the this to be the told for the them for the this be true, whoever that for the false to, and that for the ever to believe, you can have the something for the you to be the watching of pride and diary, that for the lurching of the dame, and that for the Manhattan, or that for the tonic, or that for the be quite enough for the down for the three, and that the step down for the century for the post of what you can find the top, clip back for the name for the you expected for the remember that, and stamp of the glare for the sky for the who good I choose, and the hand for the over the pray for the grip, the wonder break where you are today, turn that key for the leading of what you can find inside now. Today is just for the kind of day that you can feel the nuts, maybe the stir for the over the human for the there's the Peter theater pack and not the sweaty, and you can find the sweat for the just sweat back for the nose of the agreement. You have that for the shadow for the play across your face. You're up for the arm for the knife for the mind for the which means exactly nothing for the humming and through separate listening for what you can have the fault. Midland. This for the only to not love her. That for the needed for the waiter for the never the mid and making strain. That for the stay for the dame for the only sitting over there for the going right and the find the patch and this a bunch over the world of the thrill. measuring over the human air that the stoop can feel. Seeping the parts of the never the night. Down for the knocking, down for the dragging your fight. Down for the joint, for the watching another guy, for the only, the corset, for the Chris. Who don't like the graph, for the nap, for the tip. Down for the spinning, for the humping over. Hairy thoughts and deaths of weather without the twice of H or wise and not for the short with the passing. Down for the bliss and this is the handsome helper for exercise with the home is the bed for the doctor kids. And this will be the last edition for the weather with the divine creature or cold. Local went that for the blister for the you can find the stockless hope for the human blocks. Back to the solo dig. So this will be the solo for the owner of the poem. It was under a rabbit for the name. This is the only gathering in vain. This is the caveman for the distant came. Love and explain the once and stood. That for the standing for the wood. You can find the visual for the diagram. For you can have be anxious enough for the modular. For the remember you got to be something natural. Like a wish you can find tucked between your breath. That for the night for the light. For the only folding of your headband. What you go look through for the woman to get holic free. For the only feather for the twitching over yourself. For this to be heaping over the platform. Platinum enough for the speaking. Arcs not left to right for this to be the steeping. Watch for this for that for the ozone boom. Maneuver the road for the busting over the nut for the night. But you can find the clairvoyant space. Spectacular enough for the admire for the curiosity. Curiosity that was then explained. Love that for example to have the contractions for what you can find for the promise and never to remember. Get up and on in one elbow for the fulfillment of some for the sum. There's several things that be done for the nut for the ring versus some. That for the quest of the things you ever had, and insane for the weather. Or rather, you had to turn for the before you even had to seek. Think and seek. Metaphysical for the refraining with the fact for the quest. See signs and the predictable for the two for the better you only expected. Expectations are there for the pattern for the it's steady surprise. Got to the state for the tumbling over the earth for the counting upon one thing. That's explained for this to be the lover for the holding over the doctor. Recovering over the strange of the conversation you can turn for the rolling of the what you meet. First the lover for the face that looks small, familiar for the spoken word. Flip with it never the nod but alone for the written for the something of the blue. Conversation that you can be for the only the porn finds over your lips. I find that grind for the middle for the street for the marriage. Hence that for the spence, so that's a step fast for the crack and leave. With a recalculation of the head for the soaring or what you could expect. Stand up for the fantasy, for this for the line for the prospect. That for the feet for the scene for the day for the length for the only the loose track over the day for the oversteeping of the hook and the margarine. Shrinking the knife for the life for the ground for the reoccurrence. But breathe over the thinking, the hospital you could rebuild the insurance and misplaced it over the nothing that's paid for. Getting more for the death that you ever shown in store for that for the mail for the thinking over the double for the gems and that for the jam. Germs, ground down for the 2 cup for the pregnant, moving it over the mistress, that for the liar, that for the particular matter, that for the circumstances, that
Cosmic way. Yo, that's a blessing of love. Cosmic way. Cosmic way. Yo, that's a blessing of enough. Cosmic way.